Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you that you invited me to this conference. I'm sorry I cannot be with you today, but in any case, I would like to express my thoughts and to describe what we did in the area of blockchain in the last few years and how the activities were started and how the development of these activities was shaped into blockchain technology and all the ecosystem that was developed after 2017. So if I start in 2016, we had a huge conference, Slovenia in fourth digital revolution, and we found that blockchain technology would be one of the most important and most enabling technologies in the future years in Europe and also worldwide because of the attribute, because of the characteristics it has, and because of the huge area of development and capabilities of scaling on different levels, in governmental level, in civil society level, business, and also academic level. And after that, in 2017, we started to create the blockchain ecosystem. We had first meetup in Slovenian Nordung Center. It is in Vitane, and this is the space center for future technologies. The first meetup was very successful, and at that meetup we composed the ecosystem among academia. We invited one English professor that was preparing a study on distributed ledger technologies for their government. Then we had the government itself and very strong blockchain companies that were recognized even in that time in the world. In 2017, then there was another event. There was a blockchain meetup in Celje. There was even more, about 450 people, and the European Commission was invited to participate and to monitor the movement of how in Slovenia was developing the blockchain ecosystem. So we launched the blockchain declaration. It was intended to the government, to the community, and to European Commission to boost the development on blockchain technologies and their use in different levels of the society and economy. After that, in 2018, I have to say that we kind of stimulated European Commission to act fastly, because in 2018 European Commission adopted a very similar declaration. It was signed by 23 member states and some of EEA countries, and it was the real beginning of the institutionalization of blockchain technologies in the European level. In that time, European Blockchain Partnership was created, and the European Blockchain Partnership was at the beginning the network of the member states and associated countries and also European Commission. And in the original composition we identified four main areas or four main use cases that were developed in further times. Also in Slovenia, it was not only the beginning in the happening in the level of European Union, but also in Slovenia we were very active. The government of the Republic of Slovenia adopted the action plan. The action plan on blockchain and concerning technologies, new technologies we say, and new economy was adopted in May 2018, and its purpose was to identify the areas which are important or which would be relevant to be developed through blockchain technologies. Further, the action plan also gave us the information what shall be the next steps and how Slovenia could I don't know, give the reaction or the answer to the challenge we were facing. And we partly covered that challenge, how to deal with blockchain technologies. On the other hand, we managed to boost the interest of blockchain, and we managed to integrate the blockchain concept as enabling technology and also as a way of living and the ecosystem, the new culture into the behavior of the companies, of traditional companies, and to change and transform their business models and business processes. So after that action plan, we Ministry of Economic Development and Technology launched the call for projects. It was 73 million hard call of where we were demanding to integrate blockchain and other 4.0 technologies into the future demo or pilot projects. And I have to say that, and I'm very proud of this, that 46 projects were foreseeing the using of blockchain technology in as a platform or as a process that would enable faster and more efficient business and therefore also more competitive businesses in Slovenia. And I have to say also one more thing, that about 73% of projects were connecting blockchain to artificial intelligence, because those two technologies can be strongly connected, and if connected can participate or can contribute also to high efficient business models on the level of the whole economy. As the second thing, maybe I just will emphasize why we needed those cases also in pilot projects, because we were thinking about how to develop the regulatory framework and how to develop the legislation on this level, and how to connect that verticals that were identified as the most propulsive and most promising in that technologies to the technologies, and how to build the culture around the sustainability concepts and the sustainable businesses. So we defined also two key areas for the legislation. One was the regulatory sandbox. The regulatory sandbox is very known in maybe Asian countries as fintech sandboxes, but we wanted to make closer the technology, to make more usable and to integrate this into the business processes that we are having today. So and we identified very strong connection with smart specialization and blockchain technology on the other side. So I have to say that the most of the projects were from the area of smart cities and smart communities. And the second was smart factories, because there we can create the platforms using big data, blockchain technologies, AI and machine learning, and also in combination with Internet of Things to make business more efficient, more transparent, easier to accept some decisions or decision-making processes, and also the issues that are facing with the new requirements, new jobs, customers protection, customization of production, and providing services and so on. So the third vertical was circular economy and smart materials. It is very important to define or to have the traceability in the business process, because through the blockchain technology you can really trace and follow the flow of materials, the design of products, the possibility of reuse and different usage in different communities of the company, also with different stakeholders. One of the very important area is also sustainable tourism. We are talking today about tourism 4.0, which also emphasizes the usage of blockchain as one of the most enabling technology for sustainability, for identification, for scalability, and so on. Then we upgraded this with horizontal issues and horizontals. We call them horizontals that are very connected with connectivity issue. We are talking today in Europe about the connectivity, and the strategy for connectivity in Europe is based on 4 elements. One is transport or mobility, the second is energy, the third is digital innovation or digital competencies, and the fourth is people to people. So we can develop on blockchain infrastructure either top-down or bottom-up the concepts, the platforms that are using blockchain technology, but also that are enabling the participation of people, the participation of different communities in creating their own lives while protecting their identities and enabling access to their data on their own. So what we share on the platform is in our possession, and we evaluate our data in accordance with our ethical and our cultural rules that we are following. This we wanted to emphasize also through the use of blockchain technology. So we required for those use cases, for those from those projects, also to integrate the concept of sustainability into the project, and we received a lot of sustainable-oriented business models that were focused in economic, environmental, and social sustainability. And here also the measurement through the indicators that are given under European, no, not European, but Sustainable Development Goals till 2030, and also the goals that have to be reached till 2050 with regard to that horizontal issues. So maybe just to emphasize what we are doing on the European level, I mentioned at the beginning the European Blockchain Partnership. It defined 4 main use cases. The first was European blockchain infrastructure for services. It can be used for public services or for private services, but it is very important to know that this is the next generation of internet. It is enabling technology that will enable fast, secure, safe and traceable communications and transfers of value, assets, and services and products that will be directly exchanged between the stakeholders, between the members of the platforms and of the communities. This is very important that European Commission, together with the member states, we are putting a lot of efforts to very fast development of European blockchain infrastructure, because it's very important to have this as a tool and as enabler of provision of the certain how can I say, certain services on blockchain infrastructure that can be shaped and standardized on the level of infrastructure. So this infrastructure will be managed by member states, by European Commission and by associated states. It will be based on private or public access, okay, and it will enable the architecture based on two layers. One layer will be infrastructure, the second layer will be for services. And it's very important that three of the services have already been in the phase of development. The first is digital identity, self-sovereign identity. This is very important. Also following that EIDAS regulation that is already valid, and I have to say that European Commission adopted the single gateway regulation under which each data or personal data or about the things shall be put into the system only once. And we are following with that the principle once only, and once only principle will completely simplify our procedure, either administrative or business or the communication between the societies. This is one of the most important services that will be developed on blockchain infrastructure. The second is blockchain for diplomas. Blockchain for diplomas, it means that it will be possible to encrypt, to record and to transfer the data about the qualifications that were obtained through the lifetime or the lifetime career and put on blockchain because it's traceable, it can be verifiable, and it raises the trust between institutions and people. And the third, which I also think that it is very important, is the use case on notarization or authentication. The use case on notarization is used by or developed by European Court of Auditors and is intended to control the expenditures from European budget in case of cohesion policy instruments. We know that cohesion policy is quite complicated, there are many rules, and here we have finally the case how we can simplify the procedures, the system approach and the implementation of cohesion policy, of EU funding, also in the levels of member states. Maybe I would conclude here with my presentation, and please, if you have any question, I can invite you.
Thank you very much. It was so interesting. I could listen to this forever. Yeah, there are many questions that crosses my mind, but you've already presented a lot of use cases. But anyway, to make the story short, what is the first thing in business and society that is going to be affected by blockchain in Europe, if we stay just in Europe?
Yeah, it is. Thank you for the question, but I think that we cannot take it as one thing and first thing, because there will be many things. First, yeah, really, because it is going in parallel ways, the development of different areas. If you want the ownership of data, it will be affected in any case, because with digital identity, with the ownership of the personal data, the possibility of decision making, how to treat the data, it will be, I think, the most the best or the most decisive factor here, and will be affected. Second, the communities, the possibility of direct participation. It will be stimulated, sorry, and it will ensure the better engagement of whole members of the society. Third, the business models and businesses, we also, maybe I didn't mention, we required the opening of traditional business models to be more acceptive for the technologies, the enabling technologies, and it will require the transformation of traditional business models. Also traditional banking. Yeah. In what way? First, a lot of manual work will not be important anymore because we will have automatization, robotization. The second thing is the classical business units that is accounting or planning or that kind of will be affected in a way that with the use of blockchain and artificial intelligence, the data will be structured and transferred for better usage, for better decision making, and for better predictive analytics. We will have here another jobs, different jobs from existing, but in any case it will speed up and give more possibilities to accept or adopt the right decisions in the real time. And this is very important because all the data will be accessible in real time during the business process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there any regulation pending in European Union and in Slovenia about addressing blockchain and the related technologies?
There are some front runners in Europe, but not in European Union. First, I have to mention Liechtenstein. They already, I think that they have third reading of their law. We also translated the law into Slovenian language. It is quite good and overall covering law, but in any case they have different system. You know, we have Euro here, and it is a bit different position. We have European regulation, and we have different environment. But also Malta. Malta adopted quite strong law last year. Yeah, and there are some regulatory issues also in France, in Germany, and also in Slovenia. But we really planned to launch the law last year. This time in the before winter.
Okay, independent law on blockchain?
Yes, independent law on blockchain. But then, when European Commission and that European Blockchain Partnership started to develop that European blockchain infrastructure and the use cases, we decided to wait a little bit and to see what on the European level will be going on to be in compliance with the European regulation. Now, not core blockchain laws, but the modification of trade law in France, for example, some introduction of blockchain also, or DLT in German legislation, there has been on the way. What we did in Slovenia, we proposed to regulate smart contracts as a tool of digital entity that we hope that we will be defined in our law dedicated to blockchain. So there are two topics that shall be covered by the regulatory framework, and this is digital entity, which can then define whole issues regarding the new entity, new model of entity. The second is to define that regulatory framework that will not only be for fintech but also for the other industries. And the third is to focus on security, to focus on consumer rights, to focus on data protection, and so on. Yeah.
When we talk about great opportunities and what kind of really inspiring revolution blockchain is bringing to us, are we aware of all the risks? Can we even predict what's going to happen?
Okay.
In terms of risks?
It is a very interesting question, you know, because the regulators would say, yes, a lot of risk and a lot of warning or issue that, you know, about the risks that the technology itself can provoke or can put the people under the threat. But I think that there are two risks. One is institutional risk that is coming out of a regulatory framework that is very traditional, so every step away can mean a risk, but all innovation then following that concept can mean a risk also. On the other hand, I agree that if we do not protect the data, or if we do not protect the rights enough, it can be, like all the processes, can be a matter of abuse. And if we do not protect in the same or in the parallel way as we define the regulation, we have to also protect that issues, and we have to create the stable and safe environment. And this is why blockchain technology, it gives us the possibility to first to increase the trust, because the data is immutable. It is written, the original is written only once, and then it is upgraded to additional information. So it's immutable, and it can be used as a matter of trust, of communication and collaboration between different...
It cannot be corrupt.
No. Okay, everything can be corrupt, but if we use the technology in the proper way, we believe that it exists a very low percentage of corruption here on the technological level.
Less than compared to like manual
less and less
data
than internet
processing.
Yeah, and less than internet that we are having now. The second is that it enables peer-to-peer communication, so we don't have intermediaries anymore, and without intermediaries we don't have some communication interruption. So the information that you give to me is the same that I receive from you, and all we have to do is to make that understanding on the same way, and this is why smart contracts here, also regulating the relationships between people, enables identical interpretation and small percentage of mistakes also with this communication. Then the traceability, the technology enables the traceability of the information, of products, of assets, of data, and it also lowers the risk of mistakes and of failures. And the possibility of usage of your own data and to manage your own data, it also decreases the risk of abusement from the other world.
Okay, so you're saying some risks are even going to be lesser than are
definitely.
now.
Definitely, and we will not have to think about this anymore, because after right testing and after examination, we will, I think, and I believe that it will be so, that we can after that concentrate on different issues and on quality of life, on sustainability, on other things, maybe on creation of future of jobs or future jobs that will be different from this what we have, and the focus will be different. It will be more quality work and less that manual, less thinking about the physical processes and so on.
Well, personally, I look very much forward to that. I also believe that technology is going to make our work more human, right? Because all the repetitive robotic works is going to be done by the technology and the machines. However, we will probably never, or maybe harder, overcome, the natural fear of humans before the technology, before having all the data in one system and then being completely controlled by some big brother. What about that?
Yeah, we have the fears and all have the fear, because the technology impose us under that risks or fears. But in any case, the generations are changing.
Yeah, that's
The young generations are very familiar with all the new technologies and very big users of those technologies.
And they trust them.
And they trust them.
Yeah?
Yes, they have no doubts like you and me. If, what if, will it be on demand or not?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. But we will still have a challenge how to satisfy the needs of the other groups of people that will become a kind of disadvantage with this.
Maybe marginalized.
Maybe marginalized, yes, like older, like maybe the people from remote areas that don't have the internet connection or something. But in any case, that when we come to the moment of mass usage of that technology, I believe that it will be developed in this range or this stage that it will enable also these people to access to that technology and to use their knowledge on that technology, to teach them how to engage, how to participate and how to use the knowledge.
And another opportunity for intragenerational
Cooperation,
right?
Yeah.
You mentioned greater participation, right?
Yeah.
Of different individuals and communities, and also excluding intermediaries, because that's what blockchain enables us. So, looking at banks, which are the most important and the only the most important, I will say, intermediaries in the financial system, to be general, is Europe or any other country going to protect the banking system as it is against decentralized finance system and cryptocurrencies which enable peer-to-peer exchange? Or what's going to happen with the banks?
Oh, difficult question. The banks will definitely need to transform their traditional model and to find a way how to coexist with the new technological solutions. Now we have two issues. I think 1 year ago, IMF was strongly recommending the usage of digital currencies on the level of central banks. What the issue is that some of central banks are already introducing digital currencies. We have now in blockchain conference made by OECD, few cases or some cases or strong cases were presented. Also Japan Central Bank, they have now questions not to introduce this or not, but what the level of protection should be for the data of their customers. So they went some steps forward. We, on the European level, we have also debates on digital currency or debates about digital euro, but here is also the challenge how to protect the data. And what will be really the issue about the banks, how commercial banks will behave. Because for the commercial banks, they have to decide themselves. And what I know that Société Générale already implemented some blockchain solution, and we have to follow that use cases and check how it is going to be developed in that early use cases for the banks, and then to see what we will get in the future.
Well, we have to have some surprise and unknown factor, right? New technology.
Definitely, yeah. But I don't think that they have to be afraid of this. Sooner they face the issue, easier will be in the guaranteeing the compliance with the new requirements, if you want.
So Europe is not going to go protect banks and forbid everything that's different, I guess, because it's already adopting.
No, maybe because Europe is usually setting the legislation that is very complicated, and it can happen that in this area will be something like that too. But I don't think, because Europe has an ambition to be a leader on blockchain and new technologies worldwide, and I'm sure that they will not stop this. They will not protect. In any case, the protection of private companies is not allowed according to the legislation. But yeah, I think that Europe will create that environment for the development of the technologies.
So let's close this with a bit, maybe it's not futuristic, maybe it's even current. Also concerning participation, like direct participation, and traceability and transparency and safety of the data. Are we all going to vote via blockchain technology supported platforms in the future?
I hope so. Yeah, there are some solutions in the world level that are already enabling voting, but I have to say something that not only on the state level, I want in some future time that it will be enabled also on the state level, but there are already implemented solutions on the local level. Because in the local level you have smaller amount of people, for example, for decision-making processes. So that participatory way of decision-making is already being implemented. I just read about Seoul. They are having some city coin and stimulating the people and how to use that public services, and then how to be rewarded through public through usage of public services. So if we don't take that political voting, but voting for the benefits of the society for the future, that is already being implemented now. Yeah, but the voting for the better future through political or some democratic way, it will be enabled, because we have here one institutional concept. It is called DAO. This is distributed autonomous organization, and it means exchange of capacities. And if we exchange the capacity on distributed way, not anymore on centralized, then we have an opportunity to express our opinion. Then all the processes that are expressing our opinions can be treated like voting. And also for the governmental level, for the politics, it is important, because the citizens will have the opportunity to express what they want in the future.
So great. I cheer for greater participation and connected democracy. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best
in
the future projects.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.